and Advaita and Nityananda Prabhu, all they could do was embrace one another and dance together in ecstasy, what they have just seen. Then Advaitacharya, in his loving humor, he turned to Nitai and said, "Who invited you to come?" He was showing the universal form to me. It was a private audience. Who invited you to come here? Nobody knows what your caste is. Nobody knows who your parents are. You appear like a sannyasi, but you associate with all crazy people. Who? What? And Nityananda Prabhu, to reciprocate with his humor, he said that if you don't stop speaking like this, this fist is going to enter into your face. And no one will blame me. And Vrindavan Das Thakur, in this relation, he says, when Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita have these apparent fights, it is simply an expression of their love for each other. No one loves each other more than Advaitacharya and Nityananda Prabhu. And if anyone criticizes one and takes the side of the other, that person will lose all their devotional service and suffer hellish consequences. In fact, Chaitanya Bhagavat extends that principle where if two exalted Vaishnavas are having argument or fight amongst each other, we should be very neutral. We should be on both sides. Because if you take sides with one against the other, your devotional life will be crippled by that offense. Hare Krishna. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he wasn't afraid of those little students who said, we're going to beat him with sticks next time he disrespects a Brahmin. He didn't take sannyas to escape from them. He already manifested his universal form. All he had to do was go, they were finished. But those very people who were insulting him, who were feeling animosity toward him, who were threatening him, he gave up everything in the world to give them bhakti. Chasing after the conditioned souls with love of God. But also Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas to manifest that supreme renunciation of the gopis. And that is why after he took sannyas, he made his base in Jagannath Puri. Because Jagannath Puri is the place of Ratha Yatra. And what is Ratha Yatra? The place where the ultimate experience of Radharani's feelings of separation for Krishna were manifested. When Krishna came to Kurukshetra and Srimati Radharani was standing before him after so many long years of weeping and separation. But now to see him with a crown instead of a peacock feather, with royal armor instead of a Vajayanti Mala, with chariots and horses and elephants instead of cows, in Kurukshetra instead of on the bank of the Yamuna in a Kadamba forest, surrounded by mighty soldiers and royal queens instead of simple gopas. Come back to Vrindavan. That was her mood, begging Krishna, please come back to Vrindavan. I am not even feeling a single drop of pleasure seeing you here compared to the ocean of pleasure when you are Sham Sundar in Braj. Please come back. And the ecstasy of their love within their hearts, they brought him back to Vrindavan in these chariots. That is Ratha Yatra. Bhakti Vinod Thakur explained, let me die in Kurukshetra. Because where there's the greatest need, there's the greatest service. And there's nowhere that my Radharani is in greater need than in Kurukshetra. So Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he took sannyas to spread the glories of the holy name all over the world, to fulfill his external purposes, but also to experience the deepest sentiments of Radharani's love. And that is, the last 18 years of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela was only that. Especially the last 12 years in the Gambhira, surrounded by Lalita Saki and Vishaka Saki in the form of Ramananda Rai and Swarup Damodar Goswami. He simply immersed himself in tasting the sweetness of Radharani's ecstatic love. So Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's sannyas is so deeply significant. And he made his base in Jagannath Puri. First he was running to Vrindavan. After Keshav Bharati gave him the mantra, he gave him the name. Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Chaitanya means consciousness. Krishna Chaitanya means Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada named his movement after Lord Chaitanya. The International Society for Lord Chaitanya. The International Society for Krishna Chaitanya, which in English is Krishna consciousness. That's why the international headquarters is in Mayapur. So he gave, because you are going to give the consciousness of Krishna to the world, I give you this name, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. And Sri is Radharani. Sri Krishna means Radha Krishna. He's giving conscious of Radha and Krishna to the whole world. So he started running to Vrindavan after taking sannyas. And Keshav Bharati he renounced his ashram and came with him. But Mahaprabhu sent him back. And Nityananda Prabhu, knowing the heart of the Lord, even though he wanted to relish Vrindavan forever, he knew that ultimately Lord Chaitanya wants to please his devotees, and he's willing to forsake anything for his devotees. Nityananda Prabhu knew the innermost core of Lord Chaitanya's heart. Therefore, he tricked Lord Chaitanya and brought him to Shantipur, where Sachimata was brought on a palanquin. And Sachimata, meeting with all the devotees, begged Lord Chaitanya, do not go to Vrindavan. Sachimata spoke just what Lord Chaitanya, just what he wanted in his heart, just what his mission was, to go to Jagannath Puri. And it describes that on his way so many wonderful events took place. With Nityananda Prabhu, Mukunda Dat, Damodar Pandit, Jagadananda Pandit. They traveled to the Kirchor Gopinath temple, where they tasted the sweetness of Madhavendra Puri's pastimes. And they went to Shakshi Gopal temple, where Nityananda Prabhu told the story of Shakshi Gopal. And when Chaitanya and then at the Dandabhangi, the river, Nityananda Prabhu broke the danda of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya said, hold this danda while I take my bath. He just went to visit Kapoteshwar Mahadev, and then he went to take his bath. And Nityananda looked at the danda. He started talking to the danda. Said, my Lord should not be holding you, especially Ekadanda. broke it in 3 places, made it a tridanda, and then threw it in the river. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after asking for his danda back, he was very much disturbed with Nityananda, externally, but internally he was most pleased. He said, I will not travel with you, I will go alone. And as he was going, when he saw the chakra, the first glimpse of the chakra on top of Jagannath's temple, he became ecstatic. In Srimati Radharani's love, he was so eager to see Jagannath Krishna. His heart was soaring, running, as his limbs were walking very quickly. He crossed that famous bridge, and when he finally came, as he was walking, his anticipation, his eagerness to see the Lord was growing thousands of times over at every moment. And when he entered into Jagannath's temple and he saw the form of Jagannath, he couldn't control himself. He ran to Jagannath in a trance of love to embrace him. But right when he came before Lord Jagannath's feet, his ecstasy went to such a culmination that he fell unconscious. And the guards were about to just throw him out. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who happened to be the guru of the king, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was the greatest scholar on earth. He was born in Navadvip. And you know the story. Navadvip had mastered 5 of the 6 systems or schools of knowledge at the time, except Nayaka. Yes? Is that the word? Nyaya. What? Nyaya, that's right, Nyaya. Except for Nyaya. There was only one place in the world you can study that, and that was in Mithila, because they had the only scripture, and they were very possessive about it. They would teach you, but they would not make any copies of that scripture for anyone. That way, if you wanted to learn Nyaya, you had to learn from the pundits of Mithila. And you couldn't really be a teacher because you didn't have the book. So what made Navadvip the ultimate school of learning in the world? Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He went to Mithila, he studied Nyaya, and he memorized the entire scripture. Big scripture. He memorized it all. And then he goes back to Navadvip and writes it all down. Now Navadvip has every school of knowledge. There was no one else. And at Vidyanagar, where his school was, it was the most highly esteemed school in the world for study of the Shastra. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was the Acharya. King Prataparudra was so much impressed by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, not only his knowledge, but his personality. He was so cultured. He was such a perfect human being as far as a gentleman, humble, kind, magnanimous. He just had all good qualities. Very attractive person. He only had one problem. He was a Mayavadi. Because he learned all the Shastras from Shankaracharya's school. And he interpreted everything according to Shankaracharya's Siddhanta. He was the topmost scholar of Shankar philosophy on the planet. Even though he was a grihasta, sannyasis used to sit at his feet to learn from him. So King Prataparudra asked him to come to Orissa, to base in Jagannath Puri, to be his guru, and to be the guru of the teacher of the kingdom. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya left Sri Navadvip Dham and went to Puri. He left before Lord Caitanya was even born on Gaur Purnima. So Lord Caitanya had never met him, but he heard his glories. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya saw Lord Caitanya, and he, being a very great scholar of Shastra, he examined him and took note that there apparently is no sign of life in this beautiful sannyasi's body. But he put some cotton swab near his nose, and the finest threads of that cotton slightly moved, and he understood he is in transcendental ecstasy, the highest type of ecstasy. So he was carried home. And I'm going to summarize. But he according to the Shastras, he did all the remedies and chanted all the mantras and did all the procedures to bring a person to external consciousness, but nothing worked. But then Nityananda Prabhu and his companions, they came to Jagannath temple. Nityananda, when he saw Jagannath, he practically fell unconscious. But they met at the temple Gopinathacharya, who happened to be brother-in-law of Sarvabhauma. And immediately he brought them to Sarvabhauma's house. And those devotees made a circle around Lord Gauranga and right into his ears. Now, to bring Lord Caitanya to external consciousness when he was in these ecstasies of being totally absorbed in the Leelas of Vrindavan, you couldn't chant japa next to him and bring him out. They had to very, very loudly, with all the power of their strength, they chanted the holy names. He definitely would not have heard that. Please try again. Keep practicing, keep practicing. So, Mahaprabhu came out of his consciousness of internal ecstasy. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he really developed a love for Lord Caitanya, like a father, because he was older than Jagannath Mishra. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya really felt that, he said to Lord Caitanya, you have taken sannyas at such a young age. You're only 24 years old. And your bodily features are more beautiful than Kamadev, Cupid. How are you going to maintain your vows? So youthful and so handsome? This is amazing. The only way it is possible is you must be fixed in the knowledge of Vedanta. You must always have the sharp intelligence to discriminate between matter and spirit, between illusion and reality. Otherwise, you'll be a victim of Maya. And he was also thinking of elevating Lord Caitanya to a higher sampradaya of sannyasis. Gopinathacharya said, "What is this nonsense? He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He doesn't need you to elevate him." Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's student said, "Where does the Lord is Tri Yuga? The Lord appears in 3 yugas. Where does it say he appears in Kali Yuga? Why are you saying he's the Supreme Lord? Show us in the scripture. And Gopinathacharya quoted from Prahlad Maharaj, Chana Avatar. In Kali Yuga, he is a hidden incarnation, but it is revealed in the Shastras. And he quoted so many scriptures to establish Lord Chaitanya as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he said to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, because your heart is like a dry rice cake, you cannot understand these things. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, we're just having a friendly discussion. Don't get so angry at me. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is the most wonderful thing. He corrected Gopinathacharya. He said, don't criticize him. He loves me like a father. He wants to serve me. He wants to protect me. And when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya offered to teach Vedanta to Lord Chaitanya very humbly and very affectionately agreed. He was grateful. Lord Chaitanya was grateful that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was going to take the time to teach him Vedanta out of affection. So they sat in Jagannath's temple all day, every day, for 7 days. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he explained everything in such complex, intricate detail according to Shankaracharya's theory. And at the end of 7 days, Lord Chaitanya didn't fall asleep. He was wide awake. Now, any of the rest of us, we would have probably been very much sleeping listening to Mayavad philosophy for 7 days. Lord Chaitanya was very polite. He sat, he listened. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, after a week passed, he said, you have not spoken a word the whole week. You have not asked a single question. I do not know whether you understand the subject or not. And the Lord replied, understanding Vedanta Sutra is very simple. The Vedanta Sutra's real meaning is self-evident, like the sun at noon. But your interpretation is like a dark cloud that completely obscures all the real meaning of Vedanta. He said that to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a gentleman. He said, if you have a better meaning, then you tell me. Lord Chaitanya did. He explained the whole system of Vedanta without even touching one of the analogies or one of the conclusions of Shankaracharya. And when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya heard that, he was struck with wonder. Then Lord Chaitanya asked Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya to explain the Atmarama verse. And after hearing it, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained the Atmarama verse. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, after hearing that, he came to the realized conclusion that this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one else could have such knowledge. And then he felt so guilty. He was begging Lord Chaitanya to forgive him for his offenses of considering him an ordinary being. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu blessed him. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya humbled himself in his heart of heart, humbled himself. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya felt within his heart to be lower than a straw in the street. And in this spirit, with folded palms, he surrendered his heart to Lord Chaitanya. And to reciprocate, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifested to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya his forearm form. And then revealed his threefold vending form of Tribanga Shamsundar playing his flute. And according to Chaitanya Mangal, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also revealed to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya the Sadbhuja, the six-arm form. Two of his arms were holding the bow and arrow of Sri Ramchandra, the son of Dasarath and Kaushalya. Two of his arms were playing on the flute of Gopinath, the son of Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. And two of his arms were holding the Danda and Kamandalu of Lord Gauranga, the son of Sachimata and Jagannath Mishra. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya fainted in ecstasy. But when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought him to consciousness, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya right there on the spot composed 100 verses. Beautiful verses glorifying Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his true identity and his mission in this world. Lord Chaitanya, he explains in one verse, Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Shikshashtameka Purusha Pura, that the Lord has come to establish renunciation, knowledge, and pure devotional service. Krishna has come in this beautiful form to establish the highest principles of pure devotional service in this world. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then surrendered his life. He immediately became one of the foremost intimate associates of Lord Chaitanya. In fact, one morning Lord Chaitanya came from Jagannath temple very early, and he heard from outside the door that just as Sarvabhauma was waking up, he cried out, Krishna, Krishna. And then Lord Chaitanya came in and gave him prasad. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya immediately ate the prasad, Jagannath. Lord Chaitanya said, you are the topmost Brahman. You didn't wash your mouth, you didn't chant mantra, you didn't do anything, you just ate. That's not Brahminical standards. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya quoted a verse that Mahaprasad is the mercy of Krishna, even if it's stale, even if it comes from a distant place. As soon as Mahaprasad comes to us, we should immediately honor it and eat it. And Lord Chaitanya was very happy. He said, today my mission has culminated in great success because a hard-hearted, dry logician like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya has understood the glories of Krishna's prasad. This is a major part of Chaitanya Charitamrita, prasad. Sachimata's prasad, Advaitacharya's prasad, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's prasad, so many prasad stories, yes? And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami goes into great detail, Raghava Pandit's bags, with Damayanti, what they would cook. And Srila Prabhupada said that because Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami could describe so succinctly the ingredients in every preparation, this shows that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was all. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya changed that one verse, Tate Nukapam Sasamikshamano, one of Prabhupada's favorites. That one who is in a terrible suffering condition and with folded palms offers obeisances to Krishna with a grateful heart, that person alone is the rightful heir to the perfection of liberation. Mukti Padeya Sadaya Bhak. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya read his editorial of that verse. He changed Mukti Pade to Bhakti Pade. Lord Chaitanya said, how are you changing the words of Srimad Bhagavatam? He said, after meeting you, my life has changed. Previously, my whole goal of life, everything was centered around mukti. But now that I have tasted bhakti, the word mukti is abominable. I can't tolerate it. Lord Chaitanya said, you should understand, bhakti is the supreme perfection of mukti. The highest mukti is bhakti. So mukti is bhakti in this verse. So leave it as it is. He said, Al Prabhu manifested to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, four-arm form, two-arm form of Krishna, and the Sadbhuja. And then Lord Chaitanya announced to his devotees that he's going on a journey to South India. Everyone wanted to go with him. But he said, no, I will not take any of you. Because Nityananda, I'm a sannyasi. You say you're going to be my servant? What kind of servant? You break my danda? What kind of servant? I'm going to Vrindavan, you take me to Shantipur, the opposite direction. Damodar Pandit, stand like a stick, chastise. You're brahmachari, I'm sannyasi, you chastise me if you don't like what I do. Jagadananda Pandit, if he tries to give me sense gratification. If I don't take it, he fasts. And Mukunda, he doesn't say anything when I do austerities. He just cries. And when I see his pain, I cry. So I am going myself. But they gave him Kal Krishna Das, who was kind of a new man, to be his personal assistant. Because after all, you have to chant on your beads, and you have to count your rounds. That takes 2 hands. And you also have to carry your extra clothes and your kamandalus. So you need someone to carry. So he agreed. But when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya heard that Lord Chaitanya was leaving, it was like a thunderbolt in his soft heart. My whole life I have been without. And now finally I have attained real bhakti. I've given my heart to you. How can you leave? But if you must leave, you are the supreme independent personality of Godhead. I have only one benediction I beg from you. When you reach the river Godavari, there is the city of Vidyanagar. And the governor of that province is Ramananda Rai. Previously, because I was Mayavadi, I could not appreciate his ecstatic devotion. But now that I have received your mercy, I understand that Srila Ramananda Rai, he has realized the topmost limits of ecstatic love. And he's a very reservoir of transcendental knowledge of the mellows of bhakti. You will find great pleasure, and he will find great pleasure when you meet together. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu departed. It was while he was in Alalanath, where he saw that beautiful deity of Vishnu. Thousands of people from all the local villages came, and they all were dancing and chanting in ecstasy. And it was at that time that Nityananda Prabhu made that famous prediction. After seeing Lord Chaitanya's power of inducing thousands of people to Krishna Nam and Krishna Prem, he predicted in every town and village, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will spread Krishna Prem and Krishna Nam. So Lord Chaitanya visited Kurmakshetra, where he met Vasudev the leper and the Kurma Brahmin. And then he went to Jyada Narsingha in Vishakhapatnam, Singhachalam it is called, and there he worshipped Lord Narsingha Dev. From there he went to Mangalagiri, or actually no, between Singhachalam and Mangalagiri, he went to the banks of Godavari on Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's direction. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Godavari, he saw the river Yamuna. And the forests around Godavari, he was seeing Sri Vrindavan Dham. He took his bath in ecstasy. Then he crossed the river to the other side and sat. Just then, there was a very regal procession. There was instruments being played, and there were many, many Brahmins chanting Vedic mantras, and on a palanquin was carried a very, very magnificent man, Ramananda Rai, the governor, the representative of the king. He came down from his palanquin and took his ceremonial bath in Godavari. And Lord Caitanya was just sitting on the side in the forest. In his heart, he was running to embrace Ramananda Rai. But for the sake of etiquette, he maintained his patience. When Ramananda Rai finished his bath, he saw this most beautiful, effulgent form of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And when they met, Lord Caitanya asked if he was Ramananda Rai. And he said, I am only a lowly Sudra. I am only the most fallen, lowly Sudra, and I am your servant. And he was speaking from his heart. And they embraced. And when they embraced, ecstatic symptoms manifested in their hearts. Because Lord Caitanya is Krishna with the love of Sri Radha. And Ramananda Rai is Vishaka, Saki. One of the most intimate, loving associates of Srimati Radharani, an expansion of her own self. And it was their reunion in this Leela. Tears were pouring from their eyes, their hairs were standing on end, they couldn't even speak. They were falling unconscious and getting up again, and then they saw these Brahmins who were Smarta Brahmins. They couldn't understand. Why is this sannyasi embracing a Shudra? And why is this royal government official embracing a beggar sannyasi? It just didn't make sense to them. So they composed themselves. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he expressed how Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, due to his loving kindness to me, he has sent me to see you, who is the very personification of pure devotion. And Ramananda Rai, in his humility, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, out of his causeless mercy upon me, knew that no one else can deliver such a fallen soul except yourself. So he has sent you. So beautiful. They had a wonderful, they decided to meet that night. And every night they were meeting, discussing the evolution of transcendental realization of the Absolute Truth. Lord Chaitanya was asking Ramananda Rai questions, and Ramananda Rai was revealing higher and higher and higher topics, which culminated in the love between Radha and Krishna. That all took place the first day, and all the rest of the days, this was the only topic. The ecstatic, loving mellows between Radha and Krishna. Ramananda Rai said, actually, I am not speaking, you are speaking. I am like a stringed instrument, and you are the musician making my tongue vibrate. Just like a cloud takes water from the ocean and then pours it back on the ocean. But Lord Chaitanya said, no, not like that. I am just a Mayavadi philosopher floating in the ocean of Mayavad, but you have come to deliver me and give me Krishna Bhakti. So this is one of the most greatest moments of history in our Gaudiya Vaishnav history. The talk between Ramananda Rai and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And at the culmination of their talks, Sri Ramananda Rai witnessed with his own eyes the most extraordinary, transcendental Leela. Ramananda Rai said, "First I was seeing you as a sannyasi. And now I'm seeing you as Shyam Sundar. I see you have a beautiful complexion, like a monsoon rain cloud. And you are a simple cowherd boy. But now I'm seeing you appear as a golden doll. And your beautiful blackish form of Shyam Sundar is hidden by the golden luster of this form." Saying this, Ramananda Rai fell back onto the ground, unconscious. Lord Chaitanya touched his hand and he came back to consciousness. Ramananda Rai could understand exactly who Lord Chaitanya really was. You are Krishna, who has appeared to understand the glory of Radharani's love. You are Krishna, who has come to experience the wonderful qualities in yourself that is only relished in its fullness by Radharani's love. You are Krishna, who has come to taste the happiness that Radharani feels when she realizes the sweetness of your love. The internal reasons of Lord Chaitanya's advent were fully manifested before the eyes of Ramananda Rai. And what did he see? Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj quotes from the Goswamis and the great Acharyas what he actually saw. He saw Krishna, who had Srimati Radharani's love. That means Radharani's heart. And he saw Krishna going deep inside Radharani's heart, to the deepest and deepest and deepest chambers of her heart, to taste the essence of her love. When Krishna entered deep into Radharani's heart and he tasted that love, his complexion became gold, just like Srimati Radharani. Radha Krishna, Radha Bhava Duti Subalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. Krishna is tasting the sweetness of Radha's love. Krishna is entering into the core of the heart of Sri Radharani to taste the sweetness of that love, and being so intoxicated, his whole body becomes golden. That is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Ramananda Rai, "No one has ever seen what you have just seen. Please do not reveal this to anyone." Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in his temples, he manifested this highest revelation of Krishna. There is Radha and Krishna and Lord Chaitanya. This is the darshan of Ramananda Rai. Ramananda Rai saw that, according to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Srimati Radharani's love is the supreme. Krishna wanted to taste the love of his devotee. Krishna wanted to see what the wonderful qualities in himself that his devotee relish. He wanted to taste the happiness of the devotees, tasting his love. And because Srimati Radharani is the ultimate supreme devotee, Krishna entered into the core of her heart and became Lord Caitanya. But he did it in such a way as the Audarya Swarup. He was an embodiment of magnanimity and compassion. He first stole the love of Srimati Radharani and then distributed that love to the world. This is the uniqueness of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu over every other incarnation. Other avatars can give love for himself, but Lord Chaitanya is going in and taking Radharani's supreme love for himself and distributing that, the nature of her love. So when Rupa Goswami prays, Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Godatveshe Namaha. When we understand it with depth, it is profound. Profound. The gift of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's treasure. As Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami declares, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to garland the entire universe with the mala of Krishna Prem through Krishna Nam. And where is this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra derived? When Krishna goes into Srimati Radharani's heart and plunders her love and distributes it to the world, it manifested as the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Why? Because in Goloka Vrindavan, Sri Radharani and her Sakis and Manjaris and Gopis, they are eternally chanting this mantra.